Here's a scenario I hear all the time. A 1 or 2 person public affairs team responsible for tracking legislation across multiple states, maybe a federal docket on top of that. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, stakeholders to manage, leadership to brief, and an inbox that never stops. The question that I always get is, how are we supposed to keep up? And my answer is always the same. You're not supposed to keep up with everything. You're supposed to stay ahead of the things that matter. Today, we're talking about how to build a tracking system that actually works for a small team, one that filters out the noise before it reaches you. I'm Tommy Zei, an onboarding consultant here at Quorum, and this is the first episode of our new series, Small Team, Big Impact. Over the next few episodes, we're going to dig into the specific workflows, habits, and tools that help lean public affairs teams punch well above their weight. Today, we're starting with the foundation, legislative and regulatory tracking. Let me tell you what I see most often when I start working with a small public affairs team. They've got alerts set up, they've got a spreadsheet somewhere, maybe a shared inbox, and every morning they open their laptop and feel immediately behind. The problem isn't that they're missing information. The problem is that no one has ever sat down and decided what information actually requires a decision. There's a concept I keep coming back to in this work, and it's the difference between monitoring and tracking. They sound like they're the same thing. They are not. Monitoring is passive. It casts a wide net and seeing what comes in. It has its place. You want broad awareness across your issue landscape, but monitoring alone doesn't tell you what to do next. Tracking is active. It means you've made a judgment call. This bill, this rulemaking, this regulatory comment period, this one matters enough that I'm going to follow every move it makes and tie it to a decision. Small teams get into trouble when everything lives in the monitoring pile. The volume becomes unmanageable, things slip through, and leadership finds out about something before you do. The fix isn't more alerts, it's a cleaner system for deciding what graduates from the wide net into your active tracking list and what gets left behind. Here's the framework I recommend to every lean team I work with. Think of your tracking in 2 tiers. Tier 1 is your awareness layer. This is broad. It covers the full landscape of issues, jurisdictions, and other policy conversations that could touch your organization. Its job is to catch signals early, not to require action on everything it surfaces. You want to know when something is starting to move, even if you're not ready to act yet. Tier 2 is your decision list. This is smaller. This is the set of bills, rulemakings, or policy developments that are live enough, relevant enough, and close enough to a decision point that your team might actually need to do something this week. When an item lands here, it should have 3 things attached to it: what it is, how fast it could move, and who in your organization needs to know about it. The discipline is in keeping those 2 tiers separate and being intentional about what moves from one to the other. A few signals that something should graduate from awareness to your decision list. A bill gets a committee hearing scheduled. A regulator issues a request for comment within a 30-day window. A legislator who's been quiet on your issue suddenly starts talking about it publicly. Those are the moments that earn a spot on your short list. Now, in terms of tooling, whatever system you use, whether it's purpose-built platform or a well-maintained spreadsheet, the goal is the same here. Your tier 1 layer should update automatically, and your Tier 2 lists should be visible, shared, and tied to actions. In Quorum, for example, we use a combination of AI-assisted bill tracking and custom spreadsheets to do exactly this. The AI layer helps surface relevant legislation across thousands of bills without requiring you to read every single one, and your decision list lives in a sheet that the whole team, however large or small, can see in real time. But the principle holds regardless of the tools you're using. Automate that broad layer and be deliberate about the short list. Here's something that separates good tracking from great tracking, especially for small teams. The bills and regulations are only part of the picture. What's more often valuable and easier to miss when you're under-resourced is the conversation happening around your issues. Pay attention to what legislators and regulators are saying outside of formal votes and hearings. This could be a quote in a newsletter, a social media post reacting to news in your industry, a statement from a member who's historically been quiet on your issue. These moments often tell you how someone is framing a position before they've locked it in. That's your window. Pay attention to committee hearings on adjacent issues as well. Even if your specific bill isn't moving, a hearing can tell you which arguments are gaining traction and which members are starting to engage more deeply. That's intelligence you can act on. And pay attention to what your peer organizations and coalitions are emphasizing or pointedly avoiding. A sudden shift in messaging from an allied group often signals a strategic read on where things are headed. For a small team, you can't track all of this manually. You need alerts set up for the voices that matter most to you: specific legislators, specific regulatory agencies, specific issue keywords in the public discourse. The goal is to make sure the signal reaches you before it becomes a headline. I want to address something directly because I hear this objection from a lot of small teams. We don't have time to set all of this up. And I understand that. When you're a team of 2 covering the workload of 10, carving out time to build a system feels like a luxury you can't afford. But here's the thing. Most of the setup I'm describing, defining your tiers, building your tracking criteria, configuring your alerts, you only do it once. And once it's done, it saves you time every single week for the rest of the year. Think of it as a one-time investment with a compounding return. The alternative is spending every Monday morning triaging an inbox of things that may or may not matter, starting from scratch. So my practical recommendation is this: block a half day, just one, sit down with whoever owns this function on your team and answer 3 questions together. What are our top priority issues? What would have to happen for us to take action on each one? And what do we need to be watching to know when that threshold is crossed? The answer to these 3 questions becomes your tracking system. Here's the takeaway for today. Small teams don't win by tracking more, they win by tracking smarter. Build 2 tiers, a wide awareness layer that catches signals early, and a tight decision list that tells you exactly what needs action this week. Track the conversation, not just the legislation, and make the time once to set it up right. When your system is doing the filtering, you stop feeling behind, you start feeling ready. If you're managing a public affairs function with a lean team and this resonated with you, share it with your team or with someone who's building a function from scratch. It could save them months of figuring this out the hard way. Next episode, we're staying in this series and talking about stakeholder mapping, how small teams can manage relationships strategically when you can't be in every room. I'm Tommy Zei. Thanks for listening.